Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through the sources, pull out the key insights, and, well, give you a genuine shortcut to being really well informed. Today, we're doing a deep dive specifically designed to help you get your head around one of the world's truly unique cities. We've got historical accounts, planning documents, contemporary observations, a real mix. Our focus, The Hague, or Den Haag if you're speaking Dutch. And the big question we're tackling is, how did this, well, fairly quiet Dutch retreat end up becoming such a massive global center for peace and justice? And what does that legacy mean for the city today? Expect some surprising facts, maybe a few aha moments that, might just change how you see this place. Okay, let's truly unpack this. The Hague's beginnings are surprisingly humble. Early 13th century, because almost like a simple hunting retreat, a lodge really, tucked away in the woods of Holland. That's basically where it starts. In 1230, you have Count Floris IV of Holland buying this piece of land near the Hover Lake. Just wanted a country spot, Then his son, William II, he expands it. Makes it more of a proper seat of power.
And that's the foundation for the Rittersaal, the Hall of Knights. Still there today.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is that even with this, grand start as a noble center, The Hague never actually got formal city rights in the Middle Ages. It stayed, officially at least, a village, right up until the 1800s.
It's a village, with the Counts of Holland based there.
Exactly. And it wasn't an accident. It seems to have been a very deliberate political move.
Yeah.
By keeping it technically a village, the nobility kept it under their direct control. No pesky democratic city councils or powerful merchant guilds like in other cities you see.
Okay. So that lack of official city status actually gave it a different kind of freedom. It wasn't driven by commerce like Amsterdam.
Precisely. It let The Hague develop this unique focus on, governance, administration, diplomacy, power, but not economic power in the same way. And that laid the groundwork for everything that came later, its international role.
Right. So even today, the Dutch government sits there, makes the big decisions there, even though Amsterdam is the official capital on paper.
Exactly. Amsterdam is the constitutional capital, but The Hague is where the political action happens. That Binnenhof complex, it's been the heart of Dutch governance for centuries, still is. And its location was perfect too, woods around it near the coast, access to waterways, strategic, but also kind of removed.
Okay, so let's jump forward a bit. The 17th century, the Dutch Golden Age, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Leiden, they're booming commercial hubs. How did The Hague, still technically this village, cement its role as the administrative and diplomatic core? What was going on there?
Well, crucially, the States General, which was basically the parliament of the Dutch Republic, they met regularly in The Hague. So the whole machinery of government was operating from there day to day. It became the natural center for politics and administration.
So it wasn't just symbolic, it was practical.
Very practical. And it wasn't just politics. This period saw huge cultural and intellectual growth, too. The city had this kind of liberal, tolerant atmosphere, which attracted thinkers like the philosopher Baruch Spinoza. He actually found refuge there and finished his major work, Ethics.
Spinoza was in The Hague.
Wow. Yes, right there. And you had a flourishing art scene, too. Artists like Jan van Goyen, Paulus Potter. The Royal Academy of Art was founded there in 1682. Yeah. So while Amsterdam had the money, The Hague had the court, the diplomats, the artists, the thinkers. It was laying down the foundations for modern Dutch law and governance. It became the sort of intellectual soul.
Fascinating. Power through ideas and administration, not just trade. And this focus on law continued into the 18th century. The Enlightenment became a real hotbed for legal reform.
Absolutely. Dutch jurists in The Hague were refining principles of justice, thinking about civil philosophy. It was an incubator for those ideas. And alongside that, you see the influence of the House of Orange-Nassau, the royals, growing stronger.
Right.
Then comes a really key moment. 1806, King Louis Bonaparte, Napoleon's brother, is in charge, and he finally grants The Hague official city rights.
Finally, after centuries.
Exactly. Now, maybe it was more symbolic by that point, but it definitely marked a new chapter. And you can really trace the origins of its international legal role back to this era, to the groundwork laid by those institutions and thinkers.
So moving into the 19th century, this is when it really transforms from that, unique royal political village into a proper modern European city.
Yes, definitely. After Napoleon's defeat, The Hague becomes the official seat of the restored Dutch government. Ministries move in, the Council of State, foreign embassies set up shop.
And the parliament, the Dutch parliamentary system we know, it really takes root there at the Binnenhof.
Correct. And this political function drives huge urban growth. You get these grand new avenues, elegant neighborhoods popping up, like the Archipelberg, Steppenquartier, designed for officials, diplomats, the well-to-do.
So the city itself starts to look the part.
Absolutely. Plus, you get modern infrastructure railroads connecting it properly, trams, gas lighting, things that make it a functioning modern city. And cultural institutions really blossom, too. The Mauritius Museum opens its doors, the Peace Palace Library gets started, building that intellectual and international reputation.
Okay, so the city's established as the Dutch center of power and developing this sophisticated character. But then it takes this massive leap, doesn't it? Becoming the global symbol for peace and justice. How does that happen in the early 20th century? It seems to start almost unexpectedly with the Hague Peace Conferences, 1899 and 1907. And they were initiated by Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. Seems unlikely.
It does seem unlikely, but yes, his goal, perhaps idealistic, was to push for disarmament and, crucially, to develop international laws for peaceful dispute resolution.
And did they achieve anything concrete?
They absolutely did. The most significant outcome was the creation of the Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA. Still based in The Hague, it was groundbreaking. And to house institutions like this, you get the Peace Palace, inaugurated in 1913.
The famous Peace Palace, funded by Andrew Carnegie, the American industrialist, wasn't it?
That's right, largely funded by him. And later, after World War II, in 1945, the Peace Palace became home to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, the main judicial body of the United Nations. Still settling disputes between countries there today.
And the momentum just built from there, didn't it? More international bodies chose The Hague throughout the 20th century. Things like the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, the ICTY, then the International Criminal Court, the ICC, Europol.
Yes, and the OPCW, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. They're all headquartered there.
So what made The Hague the right place? Why not Geneva or New York or somewhere else?
Well, several factors came together. Its long history connected to law and governance was one. Its perceived neutrality, remember, it wasn't a major economic or military power. Plus, it had developed this sort of sophisticated diplomatic atmosphere over centuries. It felt like a place where different nations could actually meet on equal footing. Its identity really shifted from just being important for the Netherlands to becoming this global stage for justice and peace. A place for dialogue away from, maybe, the noise of bigger commercial centers.
Of course, that journey wasn't smooth. The Hague, like all of the Netherlands, went through terrible times during the World Wars, particularly World War II. It wasn't bombed as flat as Rotterdam, but the Nazi occupation from 40 to 45 must have been brutal. Deportations of Jewish citizens, crackdowns on resistance, and there was that tragic accidental Allied bombing in 44 on the Bezudnote area too, right?
Yes, a devastating mistake that killed hundreds of civilians. It was a deeply traumatic period. The occupation brought hardship, fear, loss.
How did the city pick itself up after 1945?
It was a period of, determined recovery. Post-war planning led to significant reconstruction, new housing estates were built to deal with shortages, and suburbs like Mariahoof began to develop.
And didn't the city also see quite a bit of immigration around then? Especially after Indonesia gained independence in 1949. Lots of Dutch Indonesians, the Indo community, settled in The Hague, I believe. You can still see that influence today, can't you? In the food especially.
Absolutely. That wave of immigration profoundly shaped the city's cultural fabric. The Indonesian influence is still very strong, especially in cuisine, but also music festivals. It added another layer to its international character. And importantly, post-WWII, The Hague really doubled down on its international role. Hosting the new International Court of Justice brought in even more diplomats, lawyers, international civil servants. You started to see modern office blocks and new embassies appearing. It felt like the trauma of the war actually strengthened its resolve to be the center for peace and diplomacy. It fueled that identity.
Okay, so that brings us more or less up to the present. We've seen this incredible history, but what's it actually like in The Hague today? For someone thinking about studying there or working or just living. Let's start with study. It seems like a huge draw for international students, especially in fields like politics, international relations, law. You've got major institutions like the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and Leiden University has a big campus there too. Lots of English taught programs.
Yeah, it's become a real hub for that.
And the advantage must be the access, right? Being literally next door to organizations like the ICJ or ICC, for internships, guest lectures. You can't get that proximity anywhere else, really.
Exactly. The opportunities for students in those fields are pretty unparalleled. Plus, it's a very multicultural city, so international students tend to feel quite welcome.
And practical stuff. Transport.
Housing.
Public transport's excellent, very efficient. Housing can be competitive, like anywhere in the Netherlands, but there are definitely more affordable, student-focused neighborhoods, like La Quartier you mentioned earlier. Right. And then there's the beach. Scheveningen is right there for downtime.
Can't beat that. Go from a lecture on international law to a walk on the beach.
Okay, but studying is one thing. What about working? You mentioned the international organizations, but is there more to the job market? How does a city focused on justice also offer, regular jobs?
That's a really good point. While the government and international sector are huge employers, they're definitely not the whole picture. The Hague has major corporate HQs and offices, especially in sectors like energy, think shell technology, cybersecurity is big now, and finance. Siemens has a presence.
Okay, so big multinationals too.
Yes. And there's also a really vibrant startup scene. They're actively fostering it through hubs like the Hague Tech in Impact City, which has a focus on social and sustainable businesses.
Impact City, right. Tying into that values-driven identity.
Exactly. And generally, the Dutch work culture is known for a good work-life balance, strong labor laws. And because it's so international, finding English-speaking jobs, particularly in those key sectors, is often easier than in some other Dutch cities.
So, a surprisingly diverse job market then. Now, what about just living there, day to day? What's the vibe? You get this unique mix, don't you? It feels like a proper city, but it also has the seaside resort calmness with Scheveningen and that constant international buzz.
That's a great way to put it. It is the third largest city, so you have all the amenities, services, culture you'd expect, but it generally feels less hectic, maybe more orderly than Amsterdam.
And the cost of living. Often here it's a bit lower than Amsterdam.
Generally, yes, especially housing, which makes it quite attractive for many people, including expats and families.
And you've got different neighborhoods offering different feels, right? You mentioned Stad Quartier for diplomats, Scheveningen for beach life.
Yeah, but Noordenhout is known for being leafy and family-friendly. La Quartier, more affordable and student-oriented. There's a real variety depending on what you're looking for. And crucially, it's incredibly green. People forget that. Parks like the Hague run right into the city center. Loads of green space.
It's not just courts and offices then. What about the cultural side? Beyond the international law aspect, well, the museum scene is fantastic.
Yeah.
The Mauritshuis alone, with Vermeer's Girl with a pearl earring and Rembrandt's, it's world class.
Absolutely. And the Kunstmuseum Den Haag, formerly the Gemeente Museum, has that amazing Mondrian collection. Plus you have specialized places like Museum Beelden of Aline Z for sculpture right by the sea, and the Escher Museum in that beautiful old palace.
Escher, yeah, always mind-bending.
And architecturally, it's this fascinating mix.
Yeah.
You've got the historic Binnenhof Noordeinde Palace where the king works. Then suddenly these sleek, modern skyscrapers housing ministries or companies, old and new, right next to each other.
And festivals too. You mentioned movies that matter.
Yes, the Human Rights Film Festival fits perfectly, doesn't it? And the Hague Jazz Festival is big. That international community really feeds into a vibrant cultural life year-round.
Okay, so it's got history, international importance, culture. But how does it handle modern challenges like sustainability? Is it just resting on its laurels, or is it looking forwardly?
No, it's actually quite proactive on sustainability. It markets itself as one of Europe's greenest cities, and that's not just PR. You mentioned the parks, but the city planning really prioritizes cycling fantastic bike lanes everywhere. They're investing in green roofs and pushing for cleaner public transport like electric and hydrogen buses.
So it's built into the infrastructure.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a strong local focus too. Farmers markets, urban farming projects popping up. And initiatives like Impact City are specifically designed to support businesses focused on sustainability and social good. It feels very much part of its modern identity.
Right, that makes sense. It connects back to that idea of values.
Exactly. And if you pull all these threads together, that's why The Hague stands out. It's not just one thing. It's the administrative capital and a seaside resort and this major international hub for justice and a city of art and culture. It manages to blend all these layers with this sense of balance and maybe sophistication.
Order and freedom, you said earlier. The king cycling to work, going from a courtroom to the beach.
Yeah, it's that kind of place. It feels both important and remarkably grounded, and the diversity is key. Over 120 nationalities in a city of just over 500,000 people. That creates a very open, dynamic atmosphere.
And safe, too, generally.
Yes, it's considered one of the safest cities in the Netherlands. Low crime rates. It might not have the, let's say, edgy nightlife of Amsterdam or the raw energy of Rotterdam.
But it offers something else?
It offers substance, I think. Stability, peacefulness, a sense of purpose. It feels like a city built on values and vision, not just, noise and trends. A really solid place to live, work, or study.
So there we have it. The Hague's incredible journey from that simple hunting retreat facing huge challenges to becoming this global leader in peace and justice. It really is a unique blend of history, culture, and international weight.
It truly is. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. The Hague isn't just a place where justice is handed down. It's really a living experiment, a testament to the idea that, yes, diverse nations facing complex problems can find common ground. They have to. It sort of implicitly asks all of us as individuals, as a global community, what kind of city, what kind of world are we trying to build? One conversation, one treaty, one generation at a time. It makes you think.